I'm absolutely delighted. I'm absolutely a personal investigation into histories, perhaps the insertion of the self into those histories. So Atul Dodiya and Jitish Kallat represent two generations of practice. Both artists are located in Mumbai. Dodiya, who was born in 1959, graduated from the JJ School in 1982. He trained in Paris, and by 1997, on India's 50th anniversary, had produced this very mature, stunning body of work, which we refer to again and again. This is, of course, his watercolor series on Gandhi and the nationalist movement. And with this, there is the implication of reading the contemporary nation through this body of work. There could be many ways of reading Atul Dodiya, even if we take the human figure. The human figure as ghoul, the human figure as ascetic, the human figure as yogic body, but also the human figure as the body of the nation. And there is this masterly kind of investigation that he starts to insert very early in the practice, certainly by 1997. And this is what I would hope we can focus on. It is this recurring re-invocation of nation as an imagistic field. No other artist, I think, in the history of India has actually referred to nation in such a populated, imagistic way, other than M.F. Hussain, perhaps, and Atul Dodiya. They share this propensity for this kind of work. And I hope we'll have the opportunity to discuss this. Atul Dodiya has shown at the Tate Modern London, the House of World Cultures Berlin, Mori Art Museum Japan, Centre Pompidou Paris, the Arcane Museum Denmark, etc., with a fabulous body of shutters as here. And the list is very long, so I'm going to keep it very short. Now, Jitish Kallat was born in 1974, graduates from the JJ School like Atul Dodiya in 1996. By 1998, we see Kallat for the first time in Delhi. This is with a solo exhibition called Apostrophe, and we know that a star has been announced on the Indian art scene. It's a very compelling, painterly style. Now, in terms of class, his chosen subject is very much the disenfranchised, certainly of his city of Bombay. This is in contrast to Dodiya's somewhat more aspirational middle class, and I think there is this interesting sort of location between the two artists that we could speak about. Kallat works within several simultaneous domains of I don't think we should call it adversity, I think we could call it adversarial conditions. So there is the crush of urbanism, ecological pollution, loss or abandoned childhood on the streets of Bombay, exhausted labor, all under the onslaught of two kinds of regimes. There is the regime of the national and the failure of the nation state, but also the regime of global capitalism. But it is their resilience and their energy that he chooses to, if not celebrate, at least to give a kind of realization to. And often the work is about an act of disaster. The actual moment of a crash, the actual moment of a collision, the actual moment of demolition and what happens to demolished sites of homes, etc. And there has also been the engagement with text, for instance, the long engagement with Gandhi, Vivekananda, and so on. So what is interesting is that the materials that he uses, like bone, smoke, and etc., suggest loss of the promise of nation. So there is here then a point of convergence between the two. Jitish Kallat has participated widely in biennales and triennales through the world, including APT 2006, Guangzhou Biennale 2006, Tate Modern, Tate Britain, the Serpentine London, Mori Art Japan, the Brussels Art Institute, Chicago Art Institute, and most recently at the Ian Potter Museum, Melbourne, where his exhibition will be now winding down. So the format that we will follow is about 10 to 12 minutes each of discussion of the work by the artist, whatever he chooses to privilege, the showing of slides, our common discussion, and then we will throw it open to you. We'll start with Atul Dodiya.
Hello. It's okay? Yeah, I mean, the kind of time we have and the kind of subject which we are addressing, it's a bit, the subject is too vast and too much big subject, and in a very little time it's difficult to kind of comprehend, share, etc. But anyway, you know what I thought that the works which I'm showing here, particularly the shutter works, you know, which has a text in it, and so I thought let me just give you a glance of some of my works which has a text earlier, the way I used text. And then I kind of come to the subject and how I see uh, the idea of nation as an artist. My concern remains more than anything else to be creative, throughout creative all the time in every aspect. So even when I paint Gandhi, it's no doubt that I am not a Gandhian because I don't wear khadi, I drink and I don't follow the Gandhian way of life. But I am certainly touched by the way he fought and the way he kind of uh, took the whole movement in such a way. And of course, one of the thing was mainly because of very early at the age of 16, I read the original Gujarati text, autobiography, my his autobiography in Experiment with Truth. So, and of course, coming from Saurashtra originally, though I'm born and brought up in Bombay, but that was one thing. Another thing, sometime I have mentioned this, that I painted Gandhi maybe because of the kind of a lean body he had. If he would have been, fat like Arun Nehru, I don't think I would have ever painted him. Frankly, I mean, even the same Gandhian philosophy and all this thing can remain, with it. So I think it's mainly the visual, the way I see him, and like the ashram, the structure of the ashram, all the movement, the wearing of khadi, the non-cooperation, lifting the pinch of salt, and all that. So I think those were the things which I thought are great conceptual ideas, and that drew me towards him. But anyway, I would like to show the works which are not necessarily talking about like my Tearscape series, which I am not showing, a kind of bleak portrait of Mother India. Anyway, but the works which had a text. So this is the first one. I think I don't see it, but I can see it here. It's a portrait of my father. This is a 1995 painting, Sunday morning, Marine Drive. The Urdu share is from Faiz Ahmed Faiz. Because there are too many images. Anyway, no, this is just to kind of give you a glimpse or a glance at the yeah, this is the one painting which I included in the series. It's called I forgot the title. Final Resolution. When it was decided that there is going to be another country called Pakistan, and the leaders were very upset and tense. This is a page from Gandhi's diary. And yeah, the language, and the text, which has been always I've been reading and writing a bit, but uh, essentially the interest in the language and the text started with the idea of like there was this whole notion when I was studying at the art school at Jitish School of Art there, when we were told that painting should not be read, should be seen. And so it was mostly a kind of the trend was abstract painting, and the painting was seen more as in a formal way. I was interested in cinema and literature, and I thought, well, in a country like India, when you are, so much is around in a diverse way, I would probably use the text itself, that actually you read the painting. So you see the painting, and at the same, like blackboard painting, which you saw, the text about the Gandhi and young boy, you read it, at the same time you see it. And so all kind of text, from popular culture to the early manuscripts or Islamic art, uh, which whatever I like, I just simply grab it and I kind of use it in my work. Of course, 1997 was the crucial year when we were celebrating 50 years of independence. And that was the time when the thought came that still there are lots of problems about the leadership, about corruption and poverty, and tension between the communities, violence. And so there, the Gandhi, the idea of painting Gandhi, thinking about the nation, all came. The series of paintings called An Artist of Non-Violence, which was apt in a way because I was never a political or a painter, or even I don't still consider myself a political or a socially sort of, I am concerned, I am aware about the issues, but as I said, my main concern is how I create a work of art, which will stand on itself as a pure work of art. So after the Gandhi series, a series of large watercolors called Tearscape came, and then the shutters came. And the shutters was, I thought, a wonderful device because you see it, it's a part of the urban landscape and it's there out. And particularly when the curfew is announced and sudden, the band is been called, and normal day, if the street is empty, it's quite an eerie feeling. And so with all this thing, the violence, which is something which bothered me actually more than anything else, the way people were killing and the hatred was around. And Gandhi everywhere, you see in the rupee note and stamps and government office building, every third road is called MG Road, but the Gandhian way of, feeling for love for fellow human beings, love for your neighbor, love for your, people, that's lacking. And I thought that there is a huge hypocrisy is on in our country, in our people, and I think one has to say. So I was not afraid if I do a painting of Mahalakshmi where the girls are hang themselves inside and for dowry, and on top of it, shutter is closed, there is an image of Mahalakshmi, So I think artist is not just someone who paints. I mean, as I again say that, my concern is pure creativity, but not necessarily to decor, for a decoration or a sort of, just for pleasure. It evokes and it generates lots of, emotion. So I think that's the way I kind of see. Sorry? Well, in the show there are two types of work. One is, of course, as a kind of tribute to the modern masters from our country, and the four shutters which you see, they are just my basically interest in Islamic art, the pattern and design and the calligraphy. So I've been reading and seeing whenever I could in form of original works or even in the reproduction. So the text which you are not able to read, then what you do, you see as a form to begin with. Then of course you have translations in a book or catalog or anywhere which you try to read. But I often, when I go to south of India and I don't understand any South Indian language, and when I see the text, it just, I find it, I see the whole board, if there is any shop and any text is written in one of those languages. So I think this text comes here as a pure form for me, but it's just not that, because that one is of course from page from Quran, which is on the cover of the card and on the invitation, but the other two, one is a Rubai from Umar Khayyam, and which basically it says that we are the kind of puppets in the hand of Almighty, and threads are with him, something of that type. And the other one, which I call Mumtaz, and it's about Shah Jahan's Mumtaz. That's what I had. And the text which you see in Persian, which says, everyone shall taste death. So, yeah, death is something which is also, which keeps coming in form of skeleton, in form of, the colors sometimes in a, because one has seen so much violence in this country. And I mean, like, of course, I heard from my father about the freedom struggle and all those days, and when the partition period, but more than that, in 1992, the Bombay, we saw a lot of violence after the Babri Masjid was demolished. I think that was the worst part as far as in my life is concerned, in the context of this country, that it devastated, people. And Bombay, we saw serial bomb blast, so much violence and terrorism. So I think someone who has no